Hello, I am Burt Green and this is the Burt Locker's Casuals Guide to UFC 288. In a nutshell, what this show is a casual, light, fun run through for the entire UFC 288 card, including the early prelims, the lot. I'll just do a little quick bit, quick hit style. You get the whole card wrapped up in under 15 minutes and it's just good and fun, and it means that you have more information on some of the fighters that you might not know about that are kind of deeper into, you know, the early prelims, as they say. So let's get cracking. First of all, I'd just like to ask, if you enjoy this content, please hit subscribe. Thank you. So, early prelims time. Now this one, the fight is off, but I did notice that one of the fighters here that was supposed to be fighting, Mr. Daniel Santos, his nickname is Willy Cat. Look, I know that it's supposed to say Wiley Cat, but look at Sherdog. That says Willy Cat, okay? So that's hilarious. I can only hope that he gets on a card soon, because I just want to hear Bruce Buffer say Willy Cat, because I think that'd be pretty nice. But then you've got the actual first fight of the evenings, from what I can see, is Joseph Holmes taking on Claudio Ribeiro. Now you've got 6'4", playing 6'1", 3-inch reach for Holmes. This is in the middleweight division. Now Holmes' nickname is pretty awful. It's Ugly Man. That's harsh. I mean, who gave him that nickname? Like that's just mean, guys. Come on now. Anyway, He's got a great moustache. He's 1 and 2 in the UFC. He tends to gravitate towards the submissions. He's very tall. Once he's got the hooks in, that's where he's a problem. He'll get that rear naked choke. 6 out of 8 wins by submission. Claudio Ribeiro. For a second, I wondered why Ribeiro sounded familiar. Now I remember the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, and Alfonso Ribeiro was Carlton. Anyway. All Fresh Prince jokes aside, he is a bit of a monster. He's a killer. Don't let his he's on his UFC debut, he got KO'd by Al Hassan. But you've got to bear in mind that when they're putting him in against that kind of level of competition in his debut, that says a lot. He is a knockout artist. 10 wins, all of which by knockout. And I think it's only a matter of time before people find out who he is. Ribeiro by knockout for me. Rafael Estevam for taking on Zaglas Zumagulov. Now, for 145-pound featherweight division, 5'8", plays 5'4", with a reach just in favour of Estevam. Now, Estevam is a bit of a beast. He's 11-0, unbeaten. He has got a lot of finishes. He got a TKO in the LFA tournament and a TKO in the Dana White Contender Series. Then you've got Zumagulov. He's really tough. He's from Kazakhstan. He grew up in a rusty shell of a car, and that's where his career is heading back to, quite frankly. 1 win in 6 is not brilliant. I think they're feeding Zumagulov to Estevam here. Phil Hawes taking on Ikram Alexerov. Now, this is the middleweight division. 6 foot plays 6 foot, 1.5-inch reach for Hawes. Hawes is a beast. He's got great wrestling, BJJ brown belt. He has pure power. He beat Nisordin Imavov, and that's really, that's a great scalp to have. Athletic, strong, good hands, great power. He's a problem. He's a problem everywhere. Alexerov, he's a Sambo master from Russia. He has been getting gold in Sambo competitions since Nick Diaz fought Anderson Silva. That's a long time, 2013. So he's a problem. It's a tough one to call. I'm going to go with the devil that I know, which is Hawes. Then you've got Baxton Smith taking on Parker Porter in the main event of the early prelims. 5'11", plays 6 foot. Both of these guys are heavyweights, believe it or not, even though they're about as tall as middleweights. Now, Baxton Smith, he's a beautiful monster. Look at the state of that dude. He's a stud. He looks like a stud. He's got 5 wins, 5 knockouts. He's a good boxer. Primarily uses his hands. He has got head kicks. I'm intrigued by this guy. I am intrigued. Parker Porter, he's built like a bowling ball. He has had a couple of tough losses lately. Almeida's a future champ, so no loss there, really. He's built like a bowling ball, and he tends to come unstuck against powerful guys. Baxton Smith is a very powerful guy. That's why he's my pick in this one. I think that Porter's going to be there to get tagged, and I think that Braxton is going to tag him. So then we're moving on to the prelims. Once again, if you could do me a favour, hit subscribe. It means a lot. Thank you. Mariano Rodriguez versus Verna Jandiroba kicks off the prelims rather. The straw weights, 115 pounds, I believe. So 5'6", plays 5'3", with a 1-inch reach for Rodriguez. Now Rodriguez, she's the slightly longer fighter. She uses her kicks well. She tends to outwork her opponents, and she's just good in. She's solid in every area, not spectacular in any area. Now, Jandiroba, on the other hand, is an absolute monster in BJJ. She's a BJJ black belt. She's so strong. Look at those traps, man. She's an absolute monster. She's got 18 wins, 13 by submission. No secret what she's going for. I think the path of least resistance here for Jandiroba. She's going to get the takedown. She's going to take home Mariana's arm with her, and let's give the submission, all she wrote. Then you've got Chaos Williams taking on Alonso Bedoya in the welterweight division. 6 foot, plays 5'11". No idea on the reach, honestly. Now, Chaos, he made a real choice by changing his name to Chaos. That's like getting a face tattoo. That's a real decision. It seems like a good choice because Chaos Williams, he's a very good fighter. He's an explosive, powerful guy, very aggressive. Now, Bedoya is a debut for the UFC. 14-1 is pretty good. He's an all-round, he's competent everywhere, really. I'm going to be interested to see how he gets on here. But I think Chaos's aggression is going to win the day. That's what I think. Kennedy Zhekwu taking on Devin Clark in the 205-pound division. 6'5", plays 6 foot with an 8-inch reach for Zhekwu. Now, Zhekwu is a killer. He really is. He's 6'5", light heavyweight. That is ridiculous. He's absolutely huge. He uses his reach really well. He's got great hands. Like, he knocked out Carlos Olberg, who's that fella from City Kickboxing, who's an insanely good kickboxer. The fact that he knocked him out, that's a real testament. He knocked out Ion Cutelabra as well. Look, he throws knees up the middle. He's just very, very dangerous everywhere. Now, Devin Clark is frustrating, right? He tends to either show up or not. He's very hit and miss. I don't count his win over William Knight as a win because William Knight was horrible in that fight, just horrible. It'll be interesting to see who turns up here. Devin Clark, the fighter, or Devin Clark, the guy who just wants to get thrown around and beaten up like a punching bag. For me, I think this was going to be over pretty quickly. I do think Zhekwu is going to likely have his way with Devin Clark in this one. Then you've got the main event for the prelims, Drew Dober taking on Matt Frevola in the lightweight division. 5'8", plays 5'9", with a 1-inch reach for Frevola. Now, Dober, he's an all-round badass. He really is. He's got a great jawline, brilliant haircut. He hits hard. He's got just good wrestling. He's a problem anywhere the fight goes. Now, Frevola, he's sneakily good. He beat Jalen Turner and Otman Azatir. Now, those are two very good guys. He's kind of got great skill everywhere. BJJ brown belt under Sarah Longo. Very interesting cat here. Now, I'm going to bet on Drew Dober just because of his jawline and the fact that I just really like Drew Dober, to be perfectly honest. But when you look into it, it's a tough one. This one's pretty even, honestly. Skill level wise, this one's very easy. I think this one could be fight of the night because both of these guys, they're going to go after it and they match up very, very well. I'm really excited to see that one, actually. But my pick is going to be Drew Dober. So, main card. I would just ask one more time if you could subscribe if you're enjoying this content. Massively appreciated. Just hit the subscribe button. Thank you. Kron Gracie taking on Charles Jourdain in the lightweight division. Now, 5'9", plays 5'9", with a 1-inch reach for Gracie. Now, Kron Gracie, you can see the last name there, right? It's no secret what he's going to be doing. He's like a world champion BJJ. He's got a judo black belt as well. And you know what I always say? If you've got a black belt in judo and a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, then you're probably hard as nails. And honestly, Kron Gracie probably is. Look, he started off well in MMA, 5 wins, 5 submissions, and then Cub Swanson just negated everything that he did and kind of made him look a little bit average. That was way back in 2019, so Kron Gracie has had some time off. It will be interesting to see how he gets on. Jourdain is a black belt himself, but there are levels to black belts, and I don't think he's going to be on Kron Gracie's level. He's had a couple of tough losses, but look, he's got pretty good stand-up, and he can always fall back on his grappling. He's got 8 knockouts on his record. He does have some pretty good power. This one is fairly simple. If Jourdain can keep this standing and do similar to what Cub Swanson did, then he's going to win. If Kron gets it to the ground, then it's going to be a submission. It's those two outcomes, really. Then you've got Movsar Evloev against Diego Lopez in the featherweight division. 5'7", plays 7 foot. 5'7", plays 5'11", with a 72.5-inch reach for both guys. Now, Evloev is an undefeated Russian. He's kind of good everywhere. He's got, every kind of finish you can think of, and he does look like he's seen things. He looks like he's just got that faraway look in his eyes. Now, Diego Lopez is a finisher in his own right. He's got 18 finishes, great Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, solid striking. Look, it's a really fun fight, but look, can you bet against an undefeated Russian? I'm not sure that you can, and I don't think that I will. Jessica Andrade then takes on Yan Xianan. So, this is the strawweight division, 115 pounds, 5'1", plays 5'5", with a 1-inch reach for Yan. Andrade, she's a former champion. She's a short powerhouse. She's very like short, compact, but so strong. She's got great grappling. She'll just pick people up and throw them around, slam them in the head. She's got knockouts by slamming people into the floor. She's going to be trying to bounce back from her loss against Erin Branchfield by bouncing Yan's head straight off that octagon floor. And Yan, she's very skilled in her own right. She's a great Chinese prospect. She's got a really good win over Mackenzie Dern last time. She's a fairly good well-rounder. She prefers to strike. For me, I do think that the path of least resistance for Andrade is to get this down to the ground, use her strength, use her power to grapple, ground and pound, and possibly look for the submission. Then you've got the co-main event, Belal Muhammad taking on Gilbert Burns. You've got 5'11" taking on 5'10" with a 1-inch reach for Burns. This is in the welterweight division, 170 pounds. So Belal, he's a solid all-rounder, right? He has skills in every area, but his biggest weapon is his fight IQ. He just knows how to win. He plays to his strengths, knows his opponent's weaknesses, and he just does what it takes to win. It's not necessarily always aesthetically pleasing, but he does have a nose for winning, and that is important. Now, Burns is a workhorse. He just fights. He'd fight every week if you let him. Like, if he wins this fight, he's got to get the next title shot. He really does. After Colby Covington, obviously. But he's a BJJ, like, world champion black belt. And he's got that world champion BJJ grip. He really does. He's got good stand-up as well, but that's not his bread and butter. If he gets you to the floor, you're in real trouble. I'm not really sure on this one. Look, if Belal Muhammad... I don't know if Belal's going to be able to bully Burns in the same way that he likes to bully people, because Burns, he's so good at grappling that I just don't see any way that you're going to be able to kind of impose your will on him that way. Burns is too strong and he's too good. I don't see this being the most spectacular fight. It's probably going to a decision, but I'm going to lean towards Gilbert Burns on that one. And then you have got the main event of the evening, Aljamain Sterling defending his bantamweight title against Henry Cejudo, the long-time flyweight and then bantamweight champion who retired and then came back, as they always do. So you've got 5'7" playing 5'4" with a 7-inch reach for Sterling. Now Sterling, he is the undisputed champion for a reason. Honestly, he is so good. His skill set is fantastic. He beat Peter Yan solidly in that rematch, and then he battered TJ Dillashaw. He's just very, very skilled. He's tall, he's long, he uses his reach really well, his striking is really good, and then when you think you've gotten past the striking, you find out that his grappling and his wrestling are absolutely at an elite level. He's very big and strong for bantamweight as well. He's a real problem. Cejudo, look, he's one of the greatest talents to see in the UFC. He's brilliant. He's an Olympic level wrestler with a piston right cross. So that right cross, when he nails that, like I think it was the one that he knocked out Wilson Hayes with it. Just lightning fast, absolutely lightning fast. Now, for me, this was going to be a tough outing for Henry Cejudo, I think, because he's just not big enough to take on somebody who's as large and uses their size as well as Aljamain Sterling does. I mean, I don't know if it's some sort of joke. Have you seen what they've done to him in the picture here? Like, look at the size. They've made Cejudo massive in that. It's like, look, he's 5'4". He's a small guy. That's like Aljamain Sterling is 5'7". By comparison, Sterling's going to be so much bigger. And actually, Sterling's wrestling for MMA, it might even be more effective. I just feel like Cejudo may well get frustrated here. He's going to start shooting him for takedowns when perhaps the takedowns aren't there. And one thing that Sterling is really good at, he sprawls very well. And when he sprawls, he's immediately looking to take the back. He's not just sprawling for defense, he's offensively sprawling. So he'll sprawl, take the back, and get that rear naked choke. And that is what I see happening here. After 3 years and at a massive size disadvantage, I do not see Henry Cejudo having a good night in this one. So for me, it's Aljamain Sterling by submission, most likely rear naked choke. And that is everything for that card. And just apologies to my Patreon viewers. I'm not going to have time to do a deep dive this week. Poor time management on my part. I will make it up on the next big event. I'll do a load of extra content for the Patreon. Yeah, like I said, I've just not left myself with enough time. Either way, I'm going to enjoy this fight card, and I hope that you enjoy watching it. We'll recap it next week. Until then, keep those odds long and those bets terrible. Thank you for watching.